this Dhritarashtra separated them from the family. So this was due to the bodily concept of life. When we think that this body is everything, because we are forced to change the bodies. But if you start identifying the body which is temporary, then we get into this kind of misconceptions. Now, an analogy is given, just like when you're doing some agriculture in the field, there are some weeds which are unwanted, and they have to remove those weeds so that the actual seeds can be sown and you get the grains. So similarly, Krishna was preparing the field for removing all these unwanted kings who had assembled on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and righteous kings like Yudhishthira would be established. Go to verse 2. Yeah, verse 2. Now, in the second verse, Duryodhana approaches Dronacharya. As we know, Duryodhana is the king, but he was very diplomatic. Diplomatic means he will take sides with some person according to the need. And he may reject someone at some situations. Another time, he will align themselves. We see most of these political parties, they do all this time. So Duryodhana is approaching Dronacharya, and he is particularly concerned about the military formation of the Pandavas. Instead of focusing on his side, he is more concerned about how the Pandavas arrange the army. And particularly, he is pointing out to Drupada. Drupada's son Drishtadyumna. Drishtadyumna is the son of Drupada, and Drupada had taken a vow that he will produce 2 children who will be the cause of Dronacharya's death. Actually, Dronacharya and Drupada were in the same Gurukula. Dronacharya is the Brahmana, and Drupada was a Kshatriya. But in those days, both of them used to go to the Gurukula. And when they grew up later, this Dronacharya was not so financially good sound. So he, under the advice of his wife, he went to meet Drupada and request for some financial assistance. Then Drupada said, I cannot give you anything. Although in childhood we were friends, I'm not in a position. Then Dronacharya, he trained Arjuna so that he can defeat Drupada. So then Drupada felt insulted. So he performed an yajna by which Draupadi and Drishtadyumna were born. So Drishtadyumna was begotten by Drupada just for the purpose of killing Dronacharya. And Dronacharya was well aware of this. But when Drishtadyumna was sent to Dronacharya to learn the military art, he did not hesitate. That is a Brahmana. Even if the enemy comes to him, he has to impart him knowledge. So Duryodhana was pointing out this weakness of, so-called weakness of Dronacharya, saying that you were lenient with Drishtadyumna and now he has assembled the battlefield against you. So you cannot be lenient again. Furthermore, Duryodhana felt that Dronacharya had soft corner for the Pandavas, because he knows that the Pandavas are very expert students of his, and especially Arjuna. So like this, Duryodhana was trying to incite his teacher, Dronacharya. Go to verse 4 to 6. Now Duryodhana is pointing out to Dronacharya the strength of his army, like a SWOT analysis doing. So he's saying that, first of all, he's comparing all of them to Bhima and Arjuna, because he knows the strength of Bhima and Arjuna. So whoever he sees on the opposite army or his army, he's trying to compare their strength with them. So he's talking about all these kings like Yudhana, Virata, Drupada, Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kasiraja, Purujit, Kuntiboja, Shaibya, Yudamanyu, Uttamoja, sons of Subhadra and sons of Draupadi. These are all Maharatha. Maharatha means they can fight simultaneously with many warriors. So now he doesn't understand that no matter how strong one may be, if God is not on one side, they cannot succeed. And So, but he is, even when Arjuna and Duryodhana went to Krishna, Arjuna chose Krishna as to be his charioteer, whereas Duryodhana chose the army of Krishna. But Arjuna was confident that wherever Krishna is, that side will be victorious. Now Duryodhana goes on to describe further the armies. So he has Dronacharya, Bhishma, Karna, Kripacharya, Aswadhama, Vikarna, Somaditi, Jayadratha, Kritavarma, Salva, and others. But he says one important thing. He says all these people are ready to give up their lives for my sake. So in some form, from his mouth itself, he is predicting that they are going to die for me. So, and this is known as a kamikaze culture in the Second World War. The warplanes of the Japanese force, they were forcefully crashing their aircraft on the opposite side. So like that, he's thinking that at any cost, I should win the war. He's not even, although Arjuna was concerned not only about his warriors, but the warriors on the opposite side, Duryodhana is concerned at any cost, he wants to win the war or at least fight the war. So he doesn't mind all these people being killed. This is the, and so one overestimation he does about his own army. Go to verse 10. Verse 10. Next slide. So he says that our army is immeasurable, which means it's very huge because it is protected by Bhishma. And whereas the Pandavas' army, which is protected by Bhima, is insignificant, according to him. So we can never underestimate the opponent. There are many instances where we underestimated the opponent. For example, in the 1983 World Cup, the West Indies thought that it was a walkthrough for them. Never they imagined, because 79 and 75 they won the World Cup and India was nothing those days, and they thought it's going to be a cakewalk. But we know what happened. So like that, here this Duryodhana thinks that this opposite army is very weak in comparison to his own army. And particularly he was envious of Bhima, because he knows from the beginning that if there's anyone who could kill him, it is only Bhima. The verse 11 to 12, Duryodhana, he thinks that the other warriors may feel insignificant. So one side he spoke to Dronacharya, then he's trying to, glorify Bhishma, but then he feels that the other warriors may feel left out. So he says, okay, you also have a role to play. You have to carefully protect these elders, because when they are fighting on one side, maybe the army can attack from the other side. So like that, and one more thing is, Duryodhana is confident of the support of Dronacharya and Bhishma, because he saw that in the gambling match, when they tried to insult Draupadi, the Bhishma and Dronacharya, they kept silent. So now he's thinking that even though he is not righteous, that they will still support him. So like this, he's playing on their weaknesses that cannot work all the time. When we think a person is weak and try to exploit his weakness, anytime that may not be the case. So this is another defect. Now, Bhishma, he felt compassion on Duryodhana. Sometimes a person is, we know he's foolish, but we don't want to tell it on his face. So we try to encourage him, or so like that, Bhishma tried to cheer Duryodhana by blowing his conch shell. When he blew his conch shell, he indirectly indicated to Duryodhana that he had no chance of victory. All along they had been advising Duryodhana. Vidura had tried to advise Duryodhana. Even Dhritarashtra felt, I am helpless. I cannot change him. So we only get, by fighting this war, he dies himself, he will not change. So now Duryodhana's defeat was certain, because Lord Krishna was on the side of the Pandavas. But nevertheless, Bhishma was fighting as a matter of duty. So sometimes some may ask that Bhishma is such a great devotee, why he fought on the side of the Kauravas? Because he was confident that even if I am fighting on the opposite side, the Dharma will triumph. So he's used as an example to show that even if you are a great person, if you are on the wrong side, you are bound to face defeat. So now this, when they started blowing these conch shells, the war had already begun. So this is the scenario why we are discussing all this. The scenario for the discussion of Bhagavad Gita is that the war had already begun. The moment they started blowing the conch shells and beating the drums and bugles and horns, the war was already begun. Now verse 14. So in response to the blowing of conch shells by the Kauravas, the Pandavas also blew their conch shells. And because they had accomplished so many things in their lives, throughout their life, the conch shells, when they blew it, it shattered the hearts of the Kauravas. So if you have not accomplished much in life, as I said, the same example, if you are given even the best instrument, you cannot produce much out of it. An accomplished musician, even if you give a bad instrument, he can bring out a good music out of it. Now, the different conch shells used by this Pandavas are described. They have given names for them. For example, Krishna's conch shell is known as Panchajanya. Arjuna's is known as Devadatta. And Bhima's Poundra, Yudhishthira's Ananta Vijaya, Nakula's Sugosha, and Sahadeva's Manipushpaka. Why they have given these names? Because they had already proved their greatness. All these 5 Pandavas, they had already proved because they are the born of demigods. Arjuna was born of Indra, Bhima was born of Vayu. So throughout their life, they had so many accomplishments. And whatever instruments they used, like these conch shells, they were given a name. Just like a famous person is there, even his dog is given a name, or a car which he uses is given a particular name. No. So another indication for Arjuna's victory was that Krishna is the husband of goddess of fortune. The Lakshmi Devi is said to be the goddess of fortune, and wherever she is, there is all kinds of opulence. We say that Ashtalakshmi, not only money, all types of opulences are possessed by goddess Lakshmi, and she is always residing with Lord Krishna. So because Krishna is there, whatever opulences are there, they will come to people who are on whose side Krishna is there. So naturally, that is an indication that Pandavas will come out victorious. And the chariot which was being used by Arjuna was donated by the fire god Agni. There was one Kandava forest, and in that forest there was some demons, Maya demon. But this Agni wanted to eat the herbs in that forest. So the way fire god eats the herbs is through fire. So Arjuna helped the fire god to consume that Kandava forest and consume the drugs or herbs to get nourishment. So in return, that fire god gave Arjuna a chariot, and also he had an invincible quiver of arrows. So all these were indicated that Arjuna was quite competent. Now, Lord Krishna is situated in the heart of all living entities and willing to give direction to everyone. But some accept it and some do not. That is the reason. So now there are different names of Krishna being mentioned in this section of the Bhagavad Gita. So what are they? One is that Krishna means all attractive. Even the word Christ, in Jesus Christ, comes from Christos. It's a Greek word, and Christos means same as Krishna. And Hrishikesha means Hrishika means senses, Nisha means controller of the senses. He is actually controlling every senses in our body. But we think that I am the controller. Supposing a father is driving a car and the child is sitting on his lap. He thinks that I am driving. He's holding the steering, but he knows his legs won't reach even up to the pedals. But the actual controller of our senses is Lord Krishna, and is known as Rishikesha. And he is known as Madhava because he is the husband of goddess of fortune. And Achyuta means never infallible. He never fails in his affection for his devotees. Although Krishna was God, he agreed to be the charioteer of Arjuna. And this shows his infallible nature. And Madhusudana means he killed the demon named Madhu. Madhu and Kaitaba, two demons, they tried to steal the Vedas. And so Krishna appeared as Hayagriva and killed those demons. He is also known as Govinda, which means he gives pleasure to the cow and the senses. Sometimes we want something and God immediately fulfills our desires. And he is also known as Vasudeva, son of Vasudeva. And he is God's father is eternal. He doesn't, we change our father and mother. Every lifetime we have a different father and mother. But God has an eternal father and eternal mother. And so he's known as Vasudeva. And Devaki Nandana, he's also the son of Devaki. And Yashoda Nandana, simultaneously he can be the son of two mothers and two fathers. That is only God can do. We can be a son or a father of one mother and one father. But Krishna could please both their mothers and fathers equally. And he is also known as Partha Sarathi. Partha means son of Pritha. Pritha is another name for Kunti. And Partha Sarathi means he became the charioteer of Arjuna, which means God is the biggest servant. We say you have to serve God. Why you have to serve God? Because God wants to serve the devotees. That's why we have Rameshwaram. Lord Rama went and worshipped Lord Shiva. So he's also the best servant. God is also the not only the greatest master, but he's also the best servant. And he is also known as Keshava. There was an Keshi demon. He appeared as a horse and Krishna killed him by effortlessly. And then he is known as Janardana, means maintaining all living entities or killer of all living entities. He can also maintain someone and he can kill someone if he is not favorable. And he is also known as Dhananjaya. These are other names of Arjuna. Arjuna and the Pandavas, they had to go in 4 different directions under the guidance of Yudhishthira to fetch wealth for performing the Ashwamedha sacrifice, or the Rajasuya sacrifice. So because Arjuna was successful, he was given the name of Dhananjaya. And Arjuna is also known as son of Pritha or Kunti Devi. Is also known as Gudakesha. Gudaka means sleep. Isha means he is able to control sleep and ignorance. Why he was able to overcome sleep? Because even in the night time, he used to practice archery. Just like Bhima was there, all the time he can eat. Even the night time, he used to eat when it is dark outside. And someone asked him, how are you able to eat in the dark? He said, why do you need light? My food is there, mouth is there, hand is there. I just have to put it. What is the effort required? Where is the need for light? So similarly, Arjuna also used to practice during the night. And because he was a friend of Krishna, that is the advantage of being a devotee of Krishna. When associating with devotees, you can overcome laziness and ignorance. And Bhima was known as Vrikodara. Vrikodara means he could eat voraciously. Normally, a person has to eat within his limits. But Bhima, being the son of Vayu, he had great hunger. And even on Ekadasi, he could not observe fast. So he was given that privilege to eat food on Ekadasi also. And he could perform equivalently Herculean tasks which nobody can do. For example, he could kill the Hidimba demon. That Hidimba demon was, another demon was there. He used to eat all the human beings. And when the Pandavas were there in one village, the Bhima was sent to particularly kill the demon. So like this, these names are given to all these personalities who had assembled on the battlefield to show how great they were. Go to verse 19. And so far, is it okay? The Zoom participants are able to hear me and see the screens. Nachiket can please confirm.
Yes, Prabhuji, we can hear you properly and see the screen.
Again, apologize for the late start. I'll try to make up time. And so this, when the conscience became blowing, it shattered the hearts of Dhritarashtra. And so because the Lord is residing in our heart, and if he is not satisfied, no matter how much strength we gather, we will not be confident. So this is known as conscience. Conscience means you have an inner feeling that somewhere you are doing wrong. So Duryodhana, one time he told to Bhishma also, I know this is wrong and this is right, but still I end up doing the wrong thing. Why I'm not able to, why I'm in that condition? So this is because of bad association. Duryodhana always kept bad association. So although he knew what is right and wrong, he invariably ended up doing the wrong thing. So verse 20 says that Arjuna is preparing to fight. and asked Lord Krishna to draw the chariot between two armies. Actually, we think that I will make a plan. This is how we do things in our life. We think I'll make a plan and things will go as per my plan. Just like, for example, I thought today I'll start the session right on time. I am known for starting session on time and ending on time. So I thought everything will be fine, and it took me nearly half an hour to set up the whole thing. You were seeing how I was struggling. So this is what happens when we plan. No matter how well we plan, always things can go out of our hands. So now Arjuna has also come prepared to fight, and he is asking Krishna to, he's so confident that he's thinking it's going to be accomplished without effort. Already he had won so many battles, and now this time particularly Krishna was on his side. So he says, no problem, you just place my chariot in front of the opposite army. Let me estimate their strength and see who are the people whom I have to fight. But at this point, it is being reminded that Arjuna's flag, it carries the emblem of Hanuman. See, the mind is oscillating. Sometimes you think I'm going to win. Sometimes there are symptoms which say maybe not. So Arjuna, actually Bhima, he went to bring some flower for Draupadi. While he was going to fetch that flower, on the way, Hanuman, in the form of a monkey, was lying down. Bhima said, "You just move aside." The tail of the monkey was across the road. And he said, "I cannot step over a living person, so you please remove your tail." So then the monkey said, "I am quite old. I am sorry. I helpless. You please move my tail aside and then go ahead." So then when Bhima tried to move the tail of the monkey, he could not. Then he understood that he must also be the son of Vayu. As you know, Hanuman is the son of Vayu. So then he became humble, and Hanuman blessed Bhima that I will be present on the flag of Arjuna when he is fighting the battle. So the flag of Hanuman was on the, the picture of Hanuman was on the flag of Arjuna's chariot. And then, because Rama was victorious with the assistance of Hanuman. So now Lord Rama is present in the form of Krishna. So in that way also, these are different signs of victory for the Pandavas and especially Arjuna. Now, over and above this, Krishna was personally present to direct the battle. There are 5 factors in any action, as we'll see in the 18th chapter. One is the place of action. The body is also considered a place of action. We know, for example, something is happening in one particular place. We know which side is going to win. Supposing Sharjah is there, we know sometimes Pakistan is likely to win. So why? Because the place has some influence. So place of action is one factor. Second factor is said to be the doer or living entity. We know that this person, if he does, he will definitely win or he will lose. The third factor is said to be the instruments of action. Supposing I am given the very bad instrument, even I am a very good person, player, I will not be able to succeed. So third is the instruments of action and the different kinds of endeavor. Although the place is there, the people are there, and the instruments are there, how I conduct myself, that is also going to determine my success or failure. But all these 4 may be there. Ultimately, the sanction of the Paramatma or God has to be there. So this 5th factor was in the favor of the Pandavas. You can go to the next slide. So these have all been explained already by me. That Krishna was personally present on the side of the Pandavas, and goddess of fortune will be on the side of her husband. And the place of the war is the Kurukshetra, which is a holy place. Hanuman was on the flag of Arjuna, and the blowing of the conch shells and the Bhishma's indication to Duryodhana. The chariot which are being used by Arjuna was donated by the fire god, and the shattering of the hearts of the Kauravas. So when Arjuna is requesting Krishna to place his chariot in front of the army, he is addressing Krishna as Achyuta. Achyuta means infallible. Achyuta means to fail. Achyuta means never fail. What does it mean? Krishna never fails in his protection of the devotees. And so Arjuna is calling out to Krishna lovingly, Achyuta, please place this chariot in front of the opposing army. Now here Krishna, although he is the Supreme Lord, is accepting the position of a charioteer for Arjuna. Even in the Rajasuya sacrifice performed by Yudhishthira, Krishna's role was to welcome the guests and wash their feet. So this, normally God need not do these things. But Krishna, out of his affection for his devotee Yudhishthira, he volunteered to do this service of receiving the guests and washing their feet. So similarly here, Krishna had agreed to be the chariot because Lord Krishna had taken a vow that he will never use any weapon. Because if he started using weapon, people will blame that God only is inciting the war. So he didn't want the war, but he at the same time he permitted the war. So although Krishna is acting like a charioteer, it doesn't mean his position is compromised. He's always supreme. So now Arjuna, he didn't want this war, but he knew very well that the opposing party wanted this war. So he wanted to see specifically who are these people who are hell-bent on having this war so that he can fight fiercely against them. So this analogy is given just like the birds of the same flagger flock together. A man is known by his company. It is the famous proverb. So you can identify a person by his company, either good or bad. So all these people who had assembled on the battlefield, they were of the same kind. They had aligned themselves either in the side of dharma or adharma. Go to the next slide. Now, as I said, Arjuna is known as Godakesha, who had conquered sleep or ignorance because of being Krishna's friend. So if you become a devotee of the Lord, you can overcome ignorance and sleep. Arjuna's why he is able to overcome sleep? Because he's always thinking about Krishna. That is known as samadhi. Samadhi means, normally people say samadhi means he is dead and gone. He is resting peacefully. Now, samadhi means the mind is fixed and the body is very active. Samadhi doesn't mean the end of action. Samadhi means actually you have started acting perfectly. Because when the mind is focused, you can do tremendous things. So that is the meaning of real samadhi. Now Arjuna's samadhi was, he is always thinking of Krishna. And later in the Bhagavad Gita also Krishna tells Arjuna, while remembering me, you fight. God is not saying that you become a devotee and give up all your activities. He's saying whatever activities you are doing, you do that, but you remember me. Both have to go hand in hand. So now that was Arjuna's position. And Lord Krishna is known as Rishikesha. Rishika means he is controlling all the senses, including the mind. So what is going on in our mind, even we don't know, but God knows. So Krishna could understand what was going on in the mind of Arjuna. Till now, Krishna is not talking. He's just following Arjuna's orders. And Lord Krishna is telling to Arjuna, just behold or see with attention. Normally, when we are not paying some attention, someone will try to draw our attention. Maybe we didn't notice it. We didn't see it is so important. And someone is trying to point it out to us so that we become more serious. So therefore, Krishna wanted to make Arjuna more serious, understand the gravity of the situation. So he placed the chariot exactly in front of his elders, whom he respected, whom he loved, and whom he cared for. That's why sometimes we are put into situations where we think we cannot face it. We thought initially we come thinking that yes, I am very confident, I'll be face it. But we will be the most weak situation will be placed exactly which we don't want to be. Then we try to run away from that situation or avoid the situation. But time and again we are put into that same situation. Why it is done like that? That is to make us learn our lessons and become stronger. The Durga Devi or Maya, her job is to make our weakness into a strength. So she keeps repeatedly putting in situations where we will fail. But we should not feel discouraged. We should. Nelson was there. He was a famous warrior. And one time he saw a spider. It was building his web. Every time it built the web, something would come and destroy it. and it never gave up. So the Nelson got inspiration from the spider, and he went and kept on fighting, and ultimately he was victorious. So like this, we see that God tries to put us in situations where our weakness comes out. When our strength comes out, we become overconfident. But when weakness comes out, we become inferior complex. So we have to get over these complexes. So Krishna, God or material nature puts us into a situation where our weakness become prominent, and we should understand this is a weakness and try how to overcome that. Now, at the same time, Krishna doesn't want Arjuna to give up this battle. He knows that Arjuna will at one point decide not to fight. But at the same time, he doesn't want Arjuna to stop fighting. So this only God can do. This well-wisher, real well-wisher is, he can not only bring out, just like some coaches are there. Sometimes they scold, they beat also with their students. It's not to humiliate them. It is to make them successful. So now Arjuna could see all kinds of relatives, friends, and well-wishers. So here is a description that he saw his grandfather, like Bhishma, and fathers and mother. Father means need not be his own father, but the father of his cousins. His teacher like Dronacharya, other friends. Ashwadhama was also one kind of a classmate. Ashwadhama was the son of Dronacharya, and Arjuna also learned from Dronacharya. They were well-wishers, sons, friends, brothers, and maternal uncles like Shalya, Shakuni. And so this is more or less whomever he thought is very important for him was on the opposite side, or maybe they are going to die in this battle. So this is what we have to face in life, that if you try to satisfy someone, the other person is not happy. So then how do we go forward in life? You might have faced this situation any part of our life. We are not able to satisfy everyone. If you satisfy one person, other person is not satisfied. Even you are not satisfied. So this is the scenario where Arjuna is put into, that he has to lose all these people whom he considers very important for him to live his life. And he cannot imagine a life without them. Now Arjuna sees them all and is overwhelmed with compassion. And two symptoms are there in Arjuna. One, he is feeling daya or mercy. Mercy means he need not be merciful to them, but he is merciful. Sometimes we see, that's why we say mercy. You plead for mercy. Suppose someone is condemned to death, and he gives a mercy petition, which means he doesn't deserve it, but he is anyway requesting. So Arjuna need not be merciful to some of the people, but nevertheless he is merciful to them and is compassionate. Compassionate means he starts thinking about others' problems. As such, facing our problems itself is not so easy. And in this scenario, he is trying to be concerned about other problems. These are the good qualities of a devotee. Whereas Arjuna, Duryodhana is concerned, he neither was merciful nor he was compassionate. Go to the next. Now verse 28 to 29. Now Arjuna starts reacting to the situation. Normally we have to act in a situation, but mostly we just react. Supposing someone shouts at us, we don't analyze whether I should shout back, should I hit him, but immediately we react. So all our life we are trained such a way that we are only reacting to the situation. We are not acting. So in the process, we get fallen in the trap. Trap means, someone is trying to exploit our weakness. He knows this is our weakness, and he does something to just irritate us and to lose our, there's not as in cricket also, they have what is not, they try to just, the bowler is trying to distract the attention of the batsman or hedge. So Arjuna's symptom, how does he react to the situation? His limbs of the body start quivering. His body starts shaking. So this is because symptom of the weakness of the heart. When the heart starts becoming weak, then all the bodily symptoms become affected. First is quivering, and his mouth is drying up. When the mouth starts drying up, the saliva is not there. So that is another sign of weakness. And what is the reason for this? Sympathy and compassion overrun by kindness. Kindness, we have to be kind, But when that kindness is misplaced, supposing you show kindness to a snake, you know how much ever you feed it milk, it's going to poison and build its poison and kill us. So we should not show any mercy in some situations. But he was feeling overwhelmed by kindness and foreseeing their imminent death. Those people are not bothered about death or anything, but he is concerned that they will die. And um, symptoms not due to weakness, but is soft-heartedness. So there are two kinds of weakness. Some weakness is good. Sometimes you are nervous. That nervousness is good because if you are not nervous, you will become overconfident. So some nervousness energy is required. Then only you prepare well self, you talk sensibly. Some stage fear is required, but too much stage fear is also not good. So this weakness of heart is sometimes good. Soft-hearted, sometimes we think I'm very soft-hearted. Maybe people will be exploiting me. If I become humble, people will dominate over me. If I am religious, people will exploit me. So this kind of fear we have. So, but that's not a disqualification, because even though you may have that weakness, if you have a strong person behind you, then it's not a weakness. So like this, in Arjuna, although had this kind of some kind of a weakness, but that is good weakness, just like you have good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. So some certain weakness is good because immediately it draws the attraction of some strong person. So the point is, when we take to devotion, we may become superficially weak in some areas, but you need not feel discouraged about it. It may ultimately prove to be a strength, as in the case of Arjuna. Now Arjuna was astonished to see their fighting spirit. First thing is, they're going to anyway get killed, but they're still, because they become blind, that they are just like some insects are there, they go towards the light or fire, and we know they're going to die, but they get attracted to that. We know some people, they have some habits which are destructive, and they're not cannot be stopped. So now Arjuna is concerned that these people are not even afraid of death. So what is this? And then genuine devotees of Lord has all God qualities, godly qualities. Non-devotees lack such qualities. So it's a natural thing that if you become a devotee of the Lord, you will develop all the good qualities. And if you're not a devotee of God and you have all the good qualities, what are its value, ultimate value? Just like Karna was there. Karna had so many accomplishments. He was even the son of the sun god. But because he was on the wrong side, he lost everything. So the further symptoms are that bodily trembling, hair standing on end, and bow slipping, and skin burning. These are all symptoms which can manifest in our body. One is trembling of the body, it's a weakness of heart. And then hairs out of fear. Sometimes in ecstasy also, you can see the hairs on our bodies stand straight. So this is also why this weakness, when we don't see things properly. And Gandiva bow. Arjuna has taken a vow that he will never give up his Gandiva. Even when he's sleeping, the Gandiva will be with him. That Gandiva was given to him by some superior. So he had taken a vow that I will never give up this Gandiva, but that Gandiva was slipping from his hand. So this can happen to anyone. The skin started burning. What does skin burning indicate? When we have attachment based on the body. I'm always thinking about my family members. Okay, if I do this, if I don't do this, how it will affect my family. So this becomes a weakness, source of weakness. So all this were manifesting in Arjuna. So fear arises when we are put into unexpected situations, when we are not prepared for the unexpected, when we expect something and we are in something else happens, then fear arises, stress arises, anxiety comes. So all this, it is explained that they are to material conception of life. Material conception means we don't see the broader picture. We are only short-sighted. We are seeing only in a limited frame of time. So whereas God is concerned, he is Shreyas, he is thinking about our long-term welfare. Go to verse 30. Where are we in terms of time? What's the time? Okay, 6:30. Just give me 10 minutes, we'll wind up. Now, Arjuna could foresee all causes for misfortune. That is an intelligence of a devotee. He can foresee things. Duryodhana is concerned, he is short-sighted. He is just thinking about the present. I have a strong army, all these leaders are there, and I want to fight. Even Dhritarashtra was like that. He was spiritually and materially blind. But Arjuna is concerned, he is able to foresee things. So what does he foresee? And he is unable to stand any longer, forgetting himself and mind reeling. What is he forgetting himself? Whatever he had accomplished so far in life, he was forgetting them. He is forgetting who he was, why he is there, what he is supposed to do. All this are become confused. And furthermore, he is thinking, I should leave this place. Supposing an expert dancer is there, she's come onto the stage, and so many are eagerly waiting her to see her performance, and suddenly she feels shy. So that is not very good. We have seen many times small children, they go to the stage, their parents decorate them nicely, and once they go to the stage, they start crying. So something like that is happening with Arjuna. Now, but how this is happening? It is said here by Krishna's will. Krishna wants to put Arjuna in this situation so that he will be receptive to the Bhagavad Gita, and that Bhagavad Gita knowledge will benefit the future generations. So that is, we have to understand. So now Krishna is trying to bring out the greatness of Arjuna, which seems to be a weakness. But at the same time, in that situation, Krishna comes to his rescue and gives him proper knowledge. So one thing is, he sees only misfortune. He will not be happy even after winning. Because if he has to win, he has to kill all these people. And if he kills all these people, how he will enjoy without anyone? If you are living in a very big house and nobody is there in the house, what is the use of that? So this is due to excessive material attachment. We should know that we cannot hold on to things forever. The same person or the same object, I cannot hold on to forever. Within the limited time that is there, they are with us, or the objects are with us, we have to make the best out of it. Now, the fear is the cause for loss of mental equilibrium. Fear, as I said, comes due to duality. If you're attached to a cold and you put into a hot condition, you become fearful. If you go to a height and you go to dark places, lonely places, because you're not used to that scenario, when you're put in a situation which you are not used to, then automatically fear arises. So therefore, we have to keep our mind flexible, like a spring, so it can take stress or strain. Now, nimittani viparitani. Nimittani means he is thinking, why am I here? Why I should do this? And viparitani, even if I do this, it's going to be it is not against my expectation. Why am I here means nimittani. Why me? Of all people, why am I in this situation? People, when they are into very difficult situation, they start asking this question, why me? Why nobody else is like suffering like me? Like Draupadi was thinking, I didn't take part in the gambling match, but why I am insulted like this before all the assembly? So this may happen to us also. We may put into situation and start wondering, why am I in this situation? So that was the condition of Arjuna, and he was feeling frustrated. So people are only interested about, generally we think, I'm concerned about others, but we are concerned about those people who are connected to us. So that is ultimately showing that when you are identifying yourself with the body, you will face so many problems. First thing is your body itself and mind will start creating problem. And those who are related to us will become the source of the problem. Now, at the same time, Arjuna is addressing Krishna as Keshava, which means he is having faith in Krishna that even though I am struggling in this situation, I want your help. So there are some people who have a problem, but they don't want a solution. Even if they know that this person can solve my problem, they don't want to go to him out of ego. But Arjuna was concerned, even though he had this weakness and he was struggling with that, he had full faith in Krishna and he is addressing him as Keshava, because Keshava, the meaning of Keshava is that he kills the demons or doubts. So when we have doubts, we have to get them cleared. We should not let them remain because they will keep haunting us. Now, these are all the bodily symptoms which we discussed, which was faced by Arjuna, and we may also be in that similar situation. Then we should understand that something is wrong in our thinking process. So, but Kshatriya, when he is fighting a battle, either he wins or he dies also, he will go to heaven. And if he lives, he will rule the kingdom. If you are fighting as per the moral code of conduct, just like a soldiers are there, they know when they go for war, they may get killed, but they are given honored after their death also, because they are fighting for the country. So similarly, Kshatriya means they win either way. And now Arjuna's position is something like a person who is not hungry. Supposing you are not hungry, you think, why I should cook? But that is not the way, because if you get used to this habit that I will not cook when I am not hungry, then that will become a habit. It's not that you are living for yourself. At some point, we have to live for others also. So if you eliminate the need for it, you think I need not do. Just like a ostrich is there. Ostrich is chased by a tiger or something. What it does, it buries its head in the ground and it thinks I'm out of danger. But it is foolishness. So like that, we try to avoid some problems thinking that I'll just avoid it. But no, nature will again put you into that situation where you'll have to face the problem. So he's thinking that maybe I should go to the forest. Why I should fight? Better I renounce this married life and this Kshatriya dharma and go to the forest and be righteous. So these are all the reasons given by Arjuna. And simultaneously he's addressing Krishna as Govinda. Govinda means why he's addressing Krishna as Govinda. Whatever I am saying, you agree to it. Sometimes we make a decision and we want others to accept that decision, even though it is not correct. So like that, now Arjuna has decided that what he is thinking is right, and he wants Krishna to vouch for it, which we will not do. So, sometimes we think that whatever I say, others will accept, but it may not happen. No, because so in life, we have two options. One is we live for ourselves or live for a higher purpose. How do we know what is the higher purpose? That God himself has given in the form of scriptures and his saintly people. They are telling us what is a higher purpose. But some may say, no, I don't care about this higher purpose or what God needs. I am going to live for myself. So this is what decides whether we succeed or fail in life. We see time and again that people who have lived as per the higher purposes, they are able to accomplish here. Now Duryodhana is concerned, he has come to fight for himself. But here, Arjuna is concerned, he has come to fight for Krishna. He had decided that I will not fight, but Krishna wants him to fight. So when we start working for higher goals in life, then that will be good, all round good. Now, these are further reasons why Arjuna doesn't want to kill, but Krishna tells, as per the codes of dharma, you can fight against. Some people think that Bhagavad Gita means non-violence. But no, if required, a devotee can fight also. It's not that devotee will always be submissive and avoid fighting. No, if required, we have to fight. Some people ask this question, if I am on the path of righteousness and people are trying to exploit me, should I retaliate or just tolerate it? No, you can't retaliate, but there are some conditions. That is, if someone is giving you poison, or he's trying to kill you by giving poison or setting fire to a house, you plunders your riches, he attacks with deadly weapons. Someone is coming with a weapon and you just try to be submissive, that is foolishness. You have to retaliate. Or one who occupies another land, or one who kidnaps another's wife, like Ravana kidnapped the wife of Rama, Sita. So under all these conditions, an aggressor can be retaliated. But Arjuna is considering that all these aggressors are my own family members. the Pandava, the Kauravas, all these people are fit into this category. So should I apply the same rules against them? So, so he's saying that if I do this, it will bring me misfortune. But because Krishna is there with him, he need not worry about that. Krishna will not allow him to do. So how he can? So next slide. Now these are the final set of reasons. He thinks that the Kauravas have come out of greed. There's everything for man's need, but everything is insufficient to meet man's greed. That is, if whatever we need, everything nature has provided. But why there is so much scarcity in this world is people are greedy more than what the birds have no scarcity. The birds take as much grains as they want. Ants also, they will take as much sugar they want. But human beings, they will hoard items. They will take more than they need and try to exploit others. So Arjuna thinks that these Kauravas are greedy and that's why they want to fight. But why we should be like them? So he is thinking about the destruction of the family. If I fight this war, then the elders will be killed. And furthermore, he will be accumulating sin, for which he has to suffer. And people who are on his side also have to suffer the consequences. But at the same time, a Kshatriya should not hesitate to fight or to gamble. Like why he has to gamble? Because he has to develop the sportive spirit. And because he goes to war, sometimes he may lose. That doesn't mean he should stop fighting or being a Kshatriya. He has to continue to fight. So therefore, they are permitted to indulge in gambling and even killing of animals. So once we know the consequences, should I still, sometimes you are venturing into something, supposing you're doing research work, there's no guarantee that you will get the desired output. But some research, we know from the beginning that the results may not come. Such things are accepted. Just we want to confirm that yes, there is no such output going to come. Just to rule it out, you want to do. That is accepted. So like that, just because something you're going to fail in something, sometimes you're firing a rocket. We don't know. It's a test firing, we call it. So it may fail also. So he's concerned about destruction of the dynasty. Family tradition will be vanquished and family will be involved in religion. If you don't know what is the right thing, invariably you will do the wrong thing. So that happens very often. Idle mind, devil's workshop. So he's and particularly is concerned about Varnashrama system. Varnashrama means 4 Varnas and Ashramas: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. This is a natural division of society for a smooth functioning of society so that it may be peaceful. But if the ruler, the top person is not there, this whole system will collapse. So Arjuna is thinking on these terms. Not only the people who are living now, the people who lived before, they are known as the ancestors. They go to one planet because some of them may not get a next body immediately. They are like in a transit stage. So because they have not accumulated enough piety to get a body, so they will be struggling. Some of our ancestors may be struggling. The Pitru dosha or something they say. So for them to get relief from that situation, we have to offer them some prasad, Vishnu prasad. They go to Shad ceremonies. Even the Steve Waugh was there. He's an Australian cricketer. He came all the way to Sylvester Stallone, that Rambo star. He also, when his son died, he came to, I think, Benares or someplace, Prayag, to do the Shad ceremony. So which means the Shad ceremony, it helps to deliver our forefathers who are suffering in hell, or maybe they're not having a body. So Arjuna is thinking that if the members are killed, not only the successors will suffer, the ancestors also will going to suffer. So this way, because he knows dharma, because he knows the scriptures, he's very intelligent. Sometimes intelligence also can become a weakness. If you're too intelligent, some people are analyzing too much, paralysis through analysis. Some person who doesn't know anything is confidently doing. But some person who knows everything, he becomes weak because he's thinking too much. Okay, I will not go into this. Samskaras means basically we have to purify. Throughout our life, we need to purify our mind and consciousness. So there are some samskaras prescribed from birth to death. If that is not performed, people will be struggling. From the time of birth to death, we have to perform the samskara purificatory ceremonies. Arjuna is thinking that if family elders are killed, who will perform these ceremonies? So what is the conclusion? So with there will be war and pestilence, and the women also will become corrupt. Women are very good, actually. The mother, you appreciate a mother success. Anyone is successful, he will say it is because of my mother, my wife, or sister, or even daughter. So these have a very important role in society. But if there's just like in the World War, Second World War, many of the women went to church and prayed. Germans, Russians, the wives, the mothers, the daughters, and the sisters, they went to church and prayed. Oh, my brother or so and so is going to fight. You please come back alive. But most of them died. So all of them became atheists. So I went and prayed to God. Nobody returned. So what's the use of praying to God? So when such women lose direction in life, they will mix indiscriminately with men and produce unwanted population. So all this Arjuna is able to foresee, and he thinks that this war will lead to such hellish situation. So how does he make this judgment? Not only from his experience, but he has heard from others that if this is not taken care of, what will be the consequences? That is how Arjuna is able to intelligently. So these are the reasons he cites, and okay. So he thinks that better to die, even if the other party wants to kill me. I don't mind. So he has come to that stage where his intelligence is bewildered. Although he is a very intelligent person, under the influence of the circumstances, he is bewildered. So, but this is also an arrangement of God, so that Krishna can instruct the Arjuna this Bhagavad Gita for our benefit also. So he thinks that why we should try to enjoy at the expense of others' lives. Actually, we cannot enjoy anything in this life. We have to think that we are doing for others. And that we can do only if we take guidance of scripture, spiritual master, and the Supreme Lord. Now, Arjuna becomes overwhelmed with grief and set aside his bow and arrows and sat down in the chariot. So this is how the first chapter ends. So any comments, questions? Sorry for the unexpected delay. I never go over time, but unfortunately, because we are trying to do this dual mode, online and offline. So I'll first address the questions on the Zoom. Any questions are there? Okay. So someone tries to provoke us and we react. So this is how mostly our life is. But in the process, we don't act. Put on the light. Okay, in the meantime, I will address if any audience has the questions here. So this chapter is entitled Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra. First, we have to observe the problem. Problem has to be defined properly. Before you run and try to find a solution, even in the measurement problem, we say in quantum physics, that can be solved if we observe the world carefully. Now, Arjuna is in a problem in trying to observe the situation. Now, Krishna will correct his observation. So then he is able to succeed. Okay. So he is serving as a pujari in the temple. So he's saying that some foreigners visited and they were hesitating to come and accept the blessings. When you go to temple, they keep what is known as shatari, or the feet of the deities. So they were being foreigners, they don't know our culture, they were avoiding them. Then he called them aside and started talking to them. And why have you come to India? They said, we have come on business to probably to earn some money. So he said that, okay, if you have this money also, can you solve these 4 problems? Birth, death, old age, and disease. Even the most rich person, he cannot avoid death. We have seen time and again. So disease also, we see very rich people, when they have a big disease, even the best doctors, they are not able to cure it. And nobody can stop old age. And even people have tried to kill the child in the womb, but sometimes they are not successful. So or you are not able to avoid being born again. We think I don't care about reincarnation, but we see time and again, there are some evidences which show that people are reincarnating. So anyway, his point is that these problems have to be addressed, and therefore one should take to spirituality. So when he explained this to them, they were receptive. Okay, I'll take some questions from them. Okay, so what he's saying is, just like when you buy an item, it is said fixed price, no bargaining. So once we have acquired this body, it is coming with a price which you have to pay. What is that price? We have to accept birth, death, old age, and this. Nobody has been able to avoid this, which comes with accepting the body. Then what is the solution? We have to come to the spiritual platform by which we will not be affected by this change of bodies. So that we can see from the scriptures that there are people who they reincarnate, they now don't feel affected. Okay, we'll take your questions or comments. If you have anything you learned from this session, which you liked, or you have any doubts, you please feel free. So this side, ladies, Penny.
Hello. So, sir, we all have some authority figures in our life. Authority figures like parents, teachers, and so on. And sometimes it happens that they have a certain kind of belief and opinions, and we have different kind of opinions. So, how do we address that kind of conflict? Like, we cannot just completely cut off from them, but and because they are authority figures, we cannot tell them that they are wrong. So how do we address this kind of a conflict?
Yeah, so two ways is one has to be discussed. Some things have to be discussed. That is the art of discussion, it is called. So that we have to learn by proper training. That is, respect the other person's view. At the same time, try to win him over to your side. So that is the art of negotiations. And that is, for that you should have some knowledge about other person's viewpoint, why he is thinking like that. If you start thinking your way, Atmavan Manyate Jagat, which means everyone starts thinking the world is thinking like me. But the intelligent person, he is also not only stepping into other person's shoe, he also knows what he's saying and what other person is saying. So if you can convince the other person that you are able to think the way he's thinking better than him, then he will come to your side. So that is, we have to, for that we should have knowledge of scriptures. The scriptures are showing that when these arguments arise, like for example, Ramayana is there. Then when Hanuman is going to Lanka and is Sugriva and this Rama are discussing, how they discuss, how they arrive at a conclusion by argument or debate. So we have to learn from the scriptures the art of debating and arguing. And that way we will be able to convince. So that, as I said, the quick answer is you try to step into the other person's shoe and convince him. That is one way. And the other thing is you have a neutral person, it's known as an ombudsman or a neutral person who will be accepted. They may not accept me. Supposing I tell even to my family, elders or family members, they may not listen to me. Many times we come that. You bring a neutral person and they will accept him. So this is another way. Anything you want to add? That might. So I hope the Zoom audience could hear this question. His question was, we face situations where our own family members have difference of opinion. So how do we handle that situation?
So in that case, the way is we do not ever get into an argument with them because we have natural respect for them. We don't get into an argument with them. At the same time, we have our own identity and we are entitled to our belief and our thought process and follow what we are convinced about. So what we do is we demonstrate by action. You have to be always respectful towards that authority because he's an authority for you. At the same time, you follow whatever you are convinced about, and in the process, if you are, if you are happy or if you are, what do you call it, settled in whatever you are doing, we agree to disagree. There will be two situations. Either gradually they will agree to disagree, or secondly, or other situation that can happen, they will come around to your view. In both the situations, you have to continue the respect. The respect should never go down. The way you deal should always be very, very respectful.
Sometimes you win by losing also. It's not that only always you have to win the argument. Sometimes child is there arguing with us. You let the child go its way. Then slowly they will come back to the way you said. So that we have to intelligently see. Sometimes we have to be a perfect no means no, yes means yes. You have to be sometimes strict. Sometimes you can afford to go the other person's way and then convince him, and then so that he will come to your way. Right. Any other question, please? Please feel free. If you don't have a question, at least what you felt like. So basically, this chapter is telling us how to analyze the situation. Like Arjuna is intelligent, but he's still confused. If you'll see in the next chapter, he'll become even more confused. So, but he has taking help from a person like Lord Krishna. And that helps him to overcome those doubts. Okay, we'll stand here. Yes. I think we end the Zoom session. Please join us next week. Second chapter is very long chapter.